Hello, I'm Harriet. I'm an English tutor and Shakespeare fan, and I've been asked by a few people to explain what happens in Shakespeare's play Hamlet, which is one of the four great tragedies, the others being Macbeth, King Lear, and Othello. This is in particular because the National Theatre are live streaming their performances to cinemas and other places right now, and right here in our village, just next to where I live, next Saturday we're going to have it live streamed here, which is ever so exciting. And some of my friends want to go, and they've asked me to give them a little bit of background, so I thought, great, I'll do it like this so I don't have to do the explanations over and over. This is all very casual. I've just come in from a walk, no makeup, no frills. I've got my Arden copy. I've got several different copies of Hamlet. I've got a few notes, and I'm going to try and remember the important things. So this is an important play. You might, when you watch it, think that it's just a stream of quotations that you have heard before, because there are a lot of very famous lines. In fact, Hamlet has more to say in this play than any other character in any play in Shakespeare, so the actor has a lot to learn. What's it about? It's about appearance and reality, honesty, murder, cover-ups, spying, families, being truthful about how you feel and not being yourself, and overthinking. Hamlet's biggest problem in some ways is overthinking, and I'm sure lots of us can identify with that. So who do we have in this play? I'm not going to tell you all the characters, but the important ones. We have Hamlet, who is Prince of Denmark. This is set in Denmark. We have Claudius, who is the king and his uncle at this point. We have the ghost, who was also called Hamlet and was Hamlet's father, and he was the previous king of Denmark. Gertrude, who is the queen, was Hamlet's mother and married to the old King Hamlet, now married to Hamlet's uncle Claudius. We have Polonius, who is an advisor to Claudius. We have Laertes, his son, and Ophelia, his daughter, who is also a sort of girlfriend of Hamlet's. Horatio, close friend of Hamlet's. Fortinbras, who is the Prince of Norway. Some others I'm not going to mention. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who are former schoolfellows of Hamlet, but they end up being not such good friends. And that's probably the important ones that you need to know. So in Act 1, we find out that Hamlet has come back from studying to Denmark after his father's death. The castle has been haunted by a ghost, and Hamlet is asked to go and speak to this ghost because they think that it looks like his father. So we have him going up onto the ramparts of the castle, seeing the ghost and then speaking to it. He finds out from the ghost that the ghost, the old King Hamlet, was killed by Claudius, Hamlet's uncle, who is now king. And he poured poison in his ear when he was sleeping in the orchard. He has then very quickly taken the crown for himself and also taken old King Hamlet's widow, Gertrude, to be his wife. And the ghost asks Hamlet to avenge his father's murder. Hamlet vows to do that. We also, in Act 2, actually before I do that, let's just see some nice lines for you to spot from Act 1. I really like even the very first beginning of the first scene, when we have Bernardo and Francisco, who are sentinels watching on the kind of top of the castle. And Bernardo comes to relieve Francisco, and Francisco says, "For this relief much thanks, 'tis bitter cold, and I am sick at heart. Bernardo, have you had a quiet guard?" Francisco, "Not a mouse stirring." Just, even in the very beginning, there's a really nice rhythm to it. And a few pages later, we have Horatio talking about the morning. This is so poetic. "But look, the morn in russet mantle clad walks o'er the dew of yon high eastern hill." Typical Shakespeare. Anything that is an ordinary thing that's happening, he will make it poetic. We also have in Act 1 what are probably my favourite lines from this play, which are not some of the most famous, and where Gertrude is saying to Hamlet, "Stop mourning your father so much. Stop wearing black clothes all the time. Don't look so miserable and cry all the time." So she says, "Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted colour off, and let thine eye look like a friend on Denmark. Be friendly to Claudius, your uncle. Do not for ever with thy veiled lid seek for thy noble father in the dust. Thou know'st 'tis common, all that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity." Hamlet, ambiguously, rather cynically, "Ay, madam, it is common." "If it be," says the queen, "why seems it so particular with thee?" And then this is what I love. "Seems, madam? Nay, it is. I know not seems. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor customary suits of solemn black, nor windy suspiration of forced breath, no, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejected haviour of the visage, together with all forms, moods, shapes of grief that can denote me truly. These indeed seem, for they are actions which a man might play, but I have that within which passes show, these but the trappings and the suits of woe." What he's saying is just the black clothes that I'm wearing and the crying and the sighing, that's just the outward manifestation of a real feeling inside. I can't just get rid of my clothes. My grief is inside. So I just really like that. I think it's also beautiful and musical. Hamlet also has his first probably important soliloquy. A soliloquy is a speech that a character makes, which is really just speaking his or her thoughts, and is not heard by other characters on the stage, even if they're there. And this one begins, "Oh, that this too sullied flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew." Like some of the other speeches that Hamlet says, it's really like he's saying, "Can't stand life," which is quite dismal. Anything else in Act 1? Oh, yes. Polonius, Claudius's advisor, gives Laertes, his son, some advice before Laertes travels abroad. And this is really quite well known. And this is where he says, "Neither a borrower nor a lender be." And in particular, "This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man." So that's where that comes from, if you've heard that before. Yes, we have the ghost here saying, "I am thy father's spirit," to Hamlet, "doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast in fires till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away." The idea being that he's explaining he was killed without being able to make confession, so he has to pay for his sins before he can go to heaven. And he calls it murder most foul. Anything else? No, the next things I've got marked are in Act 2. So, Act 2, Ophelia, Polonius's daughter, Hamlet's kind of girlfriend, and Laertes' sister, tells her father that Hamlet's been acting strangely. Hamlet, get it right, Harriet. Polonius is a bit of a busybody, and he wants to spy on Hamlet, and he goes and talks to Claudius about this, and they agree that they will together spy on him and see what they can find out. And also Claudius has asked Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who you will remember are Hamlet's former school fellows, to try and find out what's wrong with him, why Hamlet is acting strangely. And Claudius suspects that this is because he's lovesick for Ophelia. So that's also there are some. This is the play within the play, which happens in some other plays in Shakespeare. Some actors turn up, and Hamlet has a good plan. He has an idea, and he wants to take a play which he will then alter somewhat. It will be shown at court, and his alterations will catch Claudius's guilt. So the play is the thing, something like in which will catch the conscience of the king. I'm not reading that just from memory. So Act 2. There's Hamlet has a prose soliloquy in the middle of which he says, "What a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action how like an angel, in apprehension how like a god, the beauty of the world, the paragon of animals, and yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights not me, no, nor woman neither, though by your smiling you seem to say so." Hamlet's kind of getting more and more depressed and very philosophical. We also have, going back to a verse soliloquy. "Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I! Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit, that from her working all his visage wand, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, a broken voice, and his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing, for Hecuba, what's Hecuba to him, or he to her, that he should weep for her?" Hamlet is criticizing himself for not having enough passion to yet take revenge for his father's murder, when the actor is able to conjure up so much passion for a play. We also have, where are we? No, now we need Act 3. Act 3, very early on, we have, is it right at the beginning? Not right at the beginning. Very near the beginning, we have the to be or not to be speech, which is Hamlet, again, very depressed, wondering if it's worth going on living, wishing he hadn't been born, that kind of thing. To be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. And then it carries on quite a lot longer than that. One of the most famous quotations in English, I think. And the Hamlet is still acting strangely. The play shows Claudius's guilt. Claudius runs out. After that, Hamlet has a chance to kill Claudius, but he doesn't, because Claudius is praying, and he knows that if he kills him at that point, Claudius will go straight to heaven. And considering that that didn't happen to his father's soul, he doesn't want that to happen to Claudius. He wants to catch him when he's in the middle of all his sinful life, so that he suffers like Hamlet's father has suffered. And then Polonius is hiding behind a curtain, an arras, while Hamlet's talking to his mother, and Hamlet hears movement, thinks it might be Claudius, stabs it with his sword through the curtain and kills Polonius, which he doesn't seem to be too sorry about. The ghost appears, complaining to Hamlet, why haven't you, why don't you get on with it? And Hamlet knows that his big failing is not getting on with it. So just trying to see how long we're taking. Not sure. Oh, 15 minutes. Goodness me. Okay, this is going to be longer than I thought. And Claudius now sends Hamlet to England, and sends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to accompany him. Obviously, Hamlet is causing far too many problems in Claudius's court for him to stay there. Let's see if there's anything else I want to show you from Act 3. Don't think so. We do have Claudius in a soliloquy, admitting his guilt. "Oh, my offence is rank, it smells to heaven. It hath the primal eldest curse upon't a brother's murder." So, and also, if you know Macbeth, you'll know about Macbeth seeing the blood on his hands, and that signifying his guilt. He says, "What if this cursed hand were thicker than itself with brother's blood? Is there not rain enough in the sweet heavens to wash it white as snow? I am still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder, my crown, mine own ambition, and my queen." So he's just really saying what a dreadful person he is. And that's when Hamlet, he's praying after that, and Hamlet says, "I'm not going to kill him now." And okay, Act 4. Hamlet really seems to be going mad to everybody. Laertes returns and wants to kill Hamlet to avenge his father's murder, because Hamlet has killed Polonius. And also Ophelia is seems to be going mad as well, seems to be very disturbed, and Laertes is very angry about that. And Hamlet, who has been sent to England, you might remember, returns. We hear that he's returned. Meanwhile, Ophelia has drowned herself. So have I got anything that I want to share with you from the book? Act 4. Hamlet does say, "How all occasions do inform against me and spur my dull revenge. What is a man if his chief good and market of his time be but to sleep and feed?" He's really saying I should get on with the revenge that I need to take. And he says, "Oh, from this time forth my thoughts be bloody or be nothing worth." Okay, Act 5 has got an awful lot in it. Hamlet meets up with his friend Horatio, and he explains to Horatio that he learned that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were going back to England at the same time as him with a letter from Claudius to the King of England. And that letter asked the King of England to have Hamlet killed. So Hamlet, before escaping, he alters the letter to ask the King of England to have Rosencrantz and Guildenstern killed, and then comes back to Denmark. They happen upon, Horatio and Hamlet then happen upon Ophelia's burial. And this is the bit where you have the "Alas, poor Yorick," when Hamlet finds his the skull of the jester that he used to know when he was little. But I don't know if I can see this. If not from memory. Where are we? It's one of the Oh, here we are. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest, of excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now how abhorred in my imagination it is. Everybody says, alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well, and it's actually, alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio. Doesn't make the greatest amount of difference, really. It's just a tiny little nerdy Shakespeare thing. So what else happens in Act 5? Okay. So at Ophelia's burial, Hamlet and Laertes have an argument and a kind of mourning contest, and they agree to have a duel. Laertes plans to cheat, but they're going to use, they agree to use baited swords that are blunt, but he plans to have a sharp one, and on top of that to put poison on the end of his sword, and Claudius also provides a cup of poison. At the duel, Gertrude, by mistake, drinks poison that was meant for Hamlet and dies. Where are we? Hamlet kills Laertes, and also kills Claudius, but because he's been stabbed with the poison sword a little bit, he then dies in Horatio's arms. And that is when and I can't remember where we heard this from. I think it might have even been our Queen Elizabeth's funeral. I think that our now king might have quoted this. Horatio says, now cracks a noble heart. Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. So again, very famous. Many more famous lines here. And so in the end, ambassadors arrive to tell everybody that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, which we already know. Fortinbras, the Prince of Norway, who is there's a war going on between Norway and Denmark, turns up because the Danish family, the Danish royal family, are all dead. He comes and takes charge and is going to restore order. Let's see if there's anything else I want to tell you. I don't think. Oh, I had the Yorick thing actually marked. No, I don't think. Hamlet does say when he's dying, which is quite nice. If thou didst ever hold me in my heart, absent thee from felicity a while, and in this harsh world draw thy breath in pain to tell my story. And that's it. Fortinbras at the end says, let 4 captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage, for he was likely, had he been put on, to have proved most royal. He would have been the correct king rather than Claudius. And that's the end of the play. Although almost everybody dies, it has the classic shape of a tragedy in that something unnatural is done in the beginning, which upsets the natural order. The Elizabethans and then the Jacobeans believed in what they called the great chain of being, which is a natural order of God, angels, people, animals, stones, everything in its correct place. And if a human being did something terribly unnatural, that would create unnatural things happening in the world. You also have a tragic hero. This one here is Hamlet. He is a very good person. A tragic hero has to be good and special, but they have a tragic flaw, and that flaw causes their downfall. And Hamlet's tragic flaw, you could say, it's overthinking, introspection, indecisiveness, maybe. And his failing is that he doesn't, or seems to be, Shakespeare's not necessarily as prescriptive as that, it seems to be that he doesn't avenge his father's murder sooner. And so we go through all this upheaval, all this unnaturalness caused by the unnatural murder of a brother and a king by the brother, and then taking the brother's wife. And that causes chaos and lots of awful things. There has to be deaths of the bad people, and the tragic hero ends up dead. And then there is a restoration of the natural order, and Fortinbras and Horatio are those people. Fortinbras is going to take charge of everything, and Horatio is going to tell Hamlet's story, and everything will be back to how it should be, and it's all going to be fine from now on. So I hope you found that helpful. I don't think there was anything else that I wanted to say. If I think of something, I will put it in the video description. If you have questions, then please comment below. And if you are going to see the play, I hope you enjoy it, and please let me know what you thought. Thanks for sticking with me.